too late now anyways. So the issue I was going to bring up is we have a startup CSS check job, which checks if we need to update some auto-generated files. And this works nicely with an asterisk next to nicely. It is not quite working at all for the who's forked GitLab, the GitLab fork for China or something like that. Their pipelines, it's very likely we'll just want to disable this job for the JH fork. And I'm not entirely sure how to do that. But I imagine that there's some jobs that we've done that for. So I imagine it's also really short to do. Like that's not going to take a lot of time. So that was one task I was bringing to the table.
I don't think we can hear you, Chad.
No, I'm muted. Okay, I was hardware muted. I've worked on one of the Jehu related ones before. Like if it's just a CI thing, probably the answer is just they need to disable that job in their fork or delete it, right? I think there's some environment variable flags that we could like wrap around it, but I don't think that's the way we tend to do this because that clutters, the rest of the open source code base.
Are you saying that we don't really have any like JH references in our GitLab CI stuff?
No, like we'll only make a change to facilitate them to be able to do something. Like I think we maybe slightly modified the way we override modules and stuff like that to make it easier for them to do something, but as far as like actually putting flags in it in our code and the main open source code base, I don't think we do that. I think this is going to be on them that they need to just not run this job in their fork in their CI config.
Yes. And so I was going to push a contribution for like, this is how they could do that. Because it's to their fork, because that's what I think they may need. And I just don't know. I don't know if we're able to.
If that's the way you want to do
it,
I think that's the right
but
way.
I also don't know if we can just remove, because my understanding, they're continuously getting updates from their upstream, which is our main project. So the only things they really can deviate on are files inside of their JH subdirectory. So even things under .gitlab CI or something, those files can't deviate from the main upstream. And this is very similar to how we used to have an EECE split before. Now we have just one project for both of it. And Marcus, I think you were here long enough to remember that as well. I think it's very similar to where their JH projects, unless it's under the JH folder, only things on the JH folder can deviate from the main upstream one. So somehow, I don't know.
So I wonder what you're saying, Paul, is this is much, much bigger. And what we need to actually do is create a way, if it doesn't already exist, for someone to create a YAML, which will override another YAML.
Maybe. I really don't know. I really just have no idea what to do.
Is it just the CI config, or like by not running it at all, are other parts of the app that consume the startup CSS also going to break? And those have to have logic in them.
So let me share let me share some more information on it. So since we started talking about it, I'll share my screen and we can start diving into this. Let me double check that I am allowed to share my screen. And yes, that should be okay. Great. Okay, I'm sharing. All right. This is the issue you were talking about, Lee. But let me hop over to this issue. And they are running into, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this. They are running into an issue Yes. So they have an MR. Yes. Let me go see if I can hop to that MR. And I think, unfortunately, like their MR has been blocked on this for some time, unfortunately. So they're kind of doing they're doing something which isn't something we should really try to do. And they are throwing in these render if exists, like they want to extend the sign up box. And so they're throwing in these render if exists. They're going to make an EE main, our main project contribution to throw these in there. But these files won't exist in our code base at all. To me, that's a little bit of like a yellow flag, because knowing just how quickly GitLab changes, if it looks like something's not used, no, it'll probably just get deleted.
So you're
That's
saying they
exactly
want
the
to push
point.
this upstream to our main repo, but only create the file in their repo.
Mm-hmm.
So I made exactly this point on the JHMR that I worked on, that this would get deleted because people didn't think it was used, and I think the result was we can't avoid that. I don't know, I can try to find the link, but it was mainly just a module extend at the bottom. It wasn't something like this that actually pointed to a file that didn't exist, which is much more confusing and concerning, I think. I would put it much more orange than yellow, personally.
Sure. Yeah, and I've seen one other MR, and I've made that concern too. It was I saw the main GitLab project contribution, which was adding a reference to a file that didn't exist. And I said we need to at least wrap this with a bunch of comments of like, this is actually referenced and something else.
That's exactly what I said. What I would do instead is like, rather than try to have the branching at the lower level here, and to like say, okay, we're going to conditionally include something that exists in one place but not the other, like at the top level, say, there's a one view that does nothing but include another partial, right?
Yeah.
And that one like passes a flag down that is used in their fork or something like that, so it's less weird.
Yeah, I think that is because if you squint your eyes just right, this looks like dependency injection, and you need to make these base modules extensible, and they're just not. We're inlining files that don't exist so that they could be mixed in.
I forget which one of the letters in solid we're violating.
I think it's the O. It's got to be one or two of those. I think it's the open close where.
So how would you sort of make it though, so they could squirt something in anywhere, so to speak?
Yeah. So that's such a good question, and I think this is outside the scope of our time together, but the more we can make the presentational layer data driven, the better, as opposed to where we've just entered a whole bunch of fields and duplicated ourselves. If I could just say, here's an array of fields, you can easily extend that data you're providing to the presentation. We're just not there. And
have we done that anywhere else in the app, Paul?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe I should do a search for view model pattern, see if that shows up anywhere. This is Chad and I paired on doing the top nav. And that was the approach we took for this, is making it data driven.
I mean, I guess that's maybe not quite the same thing, but where we've done with, would you call it like docs and things like MVPs and staff, the list of, that pulls from data.yaml or whatever it is.
Yeah,
that's sort of
what's new is probably very similar to that too. Like all of this is very similar to it, but it can get the what's new bit, because this all comes from a YAML file. This is like basic data-driven presentation because we're just rendering a list and every list contains the same stuff. things get
Yep,
interesting
yep, yep.
when the list contain different stuff. But that's something that's completely out of scope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you could also throw different types of yields in here if that's was something we were interested as well. But that also brings up in the main GitLab project, the yield wouldn't be referenced at all, which is interesting. So the main problem at hand, though, what this is going to do is we're updating a main GitLab project file, which is only going to be different when JH is run. And so if we're in a JH environment, I basically don't want startup CSS check to run because it's going to include files. It's going to include things that aren't in our generated files. The other option is we could create. So give me 1 minute to go on this other path. The other option is we create startup CSS files specific for JH. So we have EE startup CSS files, and we have startup CSS files for CE, because these two things can be different. We could do the same thing for JH, but there's a huge downside, meaning that whenever there's a change in here, whenever we're going to whenever they're going to get updates from the upstream, they might need to like regenerate their files. And that's going to be problematic because right now they can just take whatever's the latest, because JH is assumed to be like a superset of EE and stuff. And as long as it's like that, we should be fine. So the one option is let's just make startup CSS check work for JH by giving JH their own files for this. But I think that's going to mess up when they get upstream updates, and it's going to be more of a headache than if we just disable it, because of the nature of that project. It's only needed, I think, because JH is just an extension on top of these things. It should only be needed if we're just an EE or a CE.
Because the results of it are committed is the crux of it.
And yes.
Take that over every time they synced.
Yeah, and I think that would be more of a headache. So that's why I landed on, I think we can just disable the job for that environment, but I really don't know how to do that. Because as I look into here, I see I'm looking, I did a search for JH inside of .gitlab, and I see us every time we are doing an EE reference, we also do a JH reference for whether we should do something or not, but we don't totally have like a is JH or like skip if we're JH or something.
I'm going to try to find what we did for the module extension library, because I know this came up with that.
So do we think at the moment these in JH are saying only do this if you are this or this? So there's not one to say don't do this if you are, or not that we know immediately.
Yeah, I kind of would want to I would kind of want to do something like I have no idea. Something like don't.
Yeah.
If we're JH, I want to do something like that, but I have no idea how to do that. Are any of you all familiar more with the CI API or how this is maybe possible?
I was wondering if we could just redefine either the startup CSS check task or the check base above. Like just redefine it in the G repository, and then I guess it should replace this definition. So we could just have like an empty script block, basically.
Oh, like redefine it in the G.
Yeah.
Do they have? I don't know.
I'm not sure how to actually do this too, but I think you can include YAML files, and then maybe they would need to have their own top-level GitLab CI YAML file, which would just include our top-level CI YAML file, and then they could add overrides there, maybe.
Yeah, let me see if. Oh yeah,
they already have one. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Only GH.
Oh, so this is a special job making sure that every merge request only contains JH changes. So that's one thing that they do, is they're making sure that there's no deviation between the main project and the other projects, so they can continue to extend. That's a special job that they have.
Just for reference, like what we ended up doing with the modules, like the pre-pinned mod thing that's at the end of every one, I could drop a link to the one I'm talking about, is we added this pre-pin mod that isn't strictly necessary, but this note I'm gonna link to as a suggestion said, why don't we just add pre-pin mod to the bottom of every single module by default programmatically. So that was sort of like a specific fix to that particular problem, but the class of solution is like, okay, if there's something that they only need to do sometimes and we have to sort of opt into it, is there any reason we can't just programmatically do that all the time? And then they always have this hook, would be the general class of solution.
That's interesting.
No idea how that applies to this problem, but just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, what we'd found, there is a JH specific one, and I wonder if this is somehow referenced somewhere. I want to see if maybe we're referencing jh.gitlab.
Yeah, I think what we would, it'd be something similar to what I said before. There would, for the startup CSS, there would be like one included YAML that doesn't actually do anything, but includes the other YAML. So like inserting this level, and that's the level at which you would override the YAML, and in the JH code base that would say just don't do this, basically, to be a no op.
Yeah. You see that they are including wait, what is that? How are they including? Is that the top level GitLab CI YAML, I guess? Do we have a
Yeah,
dot?
does local override declarations? I'm assuming that's how it works, and that's the whole idea behind this thing.
Yeah.
I think local just means it's in the same repository. You can also include something from a different repository.
That's
but
true.
Like the second one wins if it's the same.
Are we saying that, yeah, is there an override?
Is there also a project setting to say like the JH GitLab CI YAML is like the default CI configuration instead of the top level one?
Yeah. So if we can override things, is there a way for is there a way for me to just remove a rule, like, or maybe do I need to like
have it be a no op? It would do nothing. Can we look at what on their fork, what sorts of things they already have in the jh.gitlab?
Yeah, let me open up their, I have their fork. I have their fork forked.
Essentially, like in the main repo, the job to execute would be like whatever it really does. In theirs, it could just be, the job would be like echo, we're not running startup CSS because of reasons.
Yeah, I wonder if we could just throw skip there though. I wonder if like, is it possible for us to just,
either way.
Okay. I guess lately I always don't trust the author. Even for our stuff, I'm just like, I don't trust anybody anymore.
You don't trust what? The what?
VS Code keeps asking if I trust the authors, because it wants to know if it can run like fancy extensions or something. And
Do you trust yourself, I guess. Is
no, like that's one of the answers too. Okay, so what do you think is a good path forward. The way I would test this is I'm just going to push up an MR and see what happens and what the pipeline decides. Do you think adding some sort of skip to here makes sense, or do you think somehow overwriting something makes sense? I have no idea.
So this whole the startup CSS, is it in its own independent file under .getlab for CI? If we don't, that's what we need to do, and then that's in the upstream, and then that's what they will override to be a no-op. Because if it's mixed currently in the same file, mixed in with other stuff that they still need to do, we have to split them apart.
So that's what it looks like, right, Paul? It's in with all this other front end, all these other front end jobs. So we need to remove it from here first, put it in its own file. This like file then references that file, and that's the file that we overwrite.
Exactly. That looks like the way to do it.
I don't know if it works like that.
Okay.
I don't know if it works like Hamel views do, where you can have files overwriting files. And Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong. I think looking at this bit, this is our EE entry point, and that's going to include everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is just going to be an additive, include everything on top of it.
I think so, yeah.
Were you just pulling down the repo to have a quick look what they've currently got in there? In case, I think that's what Chad was suggesting. They probably already got something that does something similar. But...
Yeah, let's do that. Oh gosh, what am I at? I think I need to fetch something.
It says in the docs the include files are deep merged. So I guess every level, like every key on each level will be merged somehow.
Wow.
Which is fine, as long as we're overriding, if there's like one branching point that in the Jehu is overridden to do nothing.
Gosh.
That's what we want.
Why am I having such a hard time with this? I want to, oh, it's not main. It's like main JH, that's right.
Here, I'm pasting the browse link to it.
Okay, awesome.
On the web interface.
Okay. Oh, snap. Okay. So these should be exactly the same as the ones, and
this is actually our GitLab CI directory, not the
GU
one.
This is GitLab JH.
Yeah, but there's like another directory, jh/.gitlab/ci.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Which is like their overrides. I think they only had like 2 files in there.
Yes, they do have. Yes, they do have something like this. They have JH GitLab. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant to link to. JH.
Okay, so these are the ones that they have, and I guess maybe I could do this. And if they're deep merged, maybe we could just do this. Oh gosh, something like this, and use something like, what's the other startup?
Well, if it's got the same name, do you think it'll just overwrite it?
Well, it sounds like they're deep merged.
That's what the docs say. Yeah, I guess we'll have to try it out.
Yeah, and we have a pretty good docs team.
But they get all the input from us, so from the engineers.
So maybe I could just do something like this.
There's actually like a when never, which should just not run it.
Like that?
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to think of, but I couldn't.
You want to just try that out?
Hell yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure if it works on the startup CSS check base or if you need to do it on the actual job, like the startup CSS check.
Let's try this one out and see. But I didn't. Now that we're talking about it, I am hoping. I want to make sure it should run at some point, anyways. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I want to make sure that if it was going to run, it should have run, except for our change. So
you want to squirt something else into your MR that will force it to.
Yeah, and I could try throwing in just these changes, because this is where part of it's failing. So I could to like almost base my MR off of this one.
Yeah.
You want to maybe I should do that instead?
Yeah, check out that branch. Yeah.
Okay. Let me commit what I have and never run startup CSS and GH.
You're gonna base that MR is in their fork, right? So you're gonna base it off of their fork.
Yes. Are you gonna? I know there's a rebase onto there somewhere. So I'm gonna do this. I'm going to fetch this branch, and I am going to. Oh man, I'm about to do something really crazy. I know there's a rebase onto here, but I'm not sure what it is.
Based onto their.
Do you want to help me with the rebase onto?
Sure.
So I made my commit off of their latest main, but I actually now want to just move it on top of this.
Okay, do a getlog -2. What's the last commit that you were on? So the 7C, grab that one.
This one?
Yeah, just grab that.
Okay.
So get rebase -onto whatever that other branch is that you're wanting to rebase onto. And then what you're rebasing relative to is the thing that you copied.
Like this one?
Yeah, so you're taking that one commit, throwing that on top of this other branch, but not worrying about any other differences in history.
Okay. Can I go -I? Can I do interactive or?
No, there's no need to. I do not allow you to, Paul.
Okay. All right, I'm doing it. Wow, rebasing one. It did it, man. Okay, so that was cool. So I've never had onto really work for me, but this is the one case.
It saved me. Like there's the two approaches. There's the combined one, and then there's the big chain of ones. If you're doing the big chain of ones, onto is your friend. It will save you so much work.
That was awesome. So I'm gonna just push this to slaughter. I don't know what it was. Never run. Oh gosh, why can't I do that? What is wrong? Why is that working? It probably doesn't like. I'm probably under my.
What was the error?
Said I didn't have permission to.
Yeah, you can't push to their fork. That's what I was
But I
wondering
have.
about.
But I have my fork. I'm trying to push to my fork.
Okay, you want to push to your.
Is the URL correct? Like if you do git remote, does it show the correct URL?
Yeah, just explicitly specify the remote. Yeah, so your remote is origin.
So I was doing slaughter.
Your fork. Okay. Yep.
And then I was doing my branch name. I think that's how it works. Because normally I'll do like origin and the branch name. But this isn't working, I think, because of some SSH thing on. All right. I was doing something and I messed up something with my SSH thing locally. I can
remote for HTTP and type your password.
I could do that. I think I'm going to use the webide.
Uh-oh.
I know. Yeah, look at that button. Edit fork and webide. That was money. That was pretty cool. Now, if only I could like copy and paste the patch into here. That would be amazing. That would be really cool. So I'm going to jhlan, GitLab, CI. I created a new file and I called it.
But then has this got that? Is this off of the branch that you're working, or are you working off of the main now?
Oh gosh. You're right. Yeah, this is not on the right branch that I was really hoping to be working on. Oh, forget it. I gotta fix my SSH thing. But I'm probably gonna stop sharing my screen when I do that. So does someone wanna maybe I'm gonna push this up and we can see if that change would have fixed it or not. But it may take a minute or two before we get some feedback on it. Does someone want to drive on Lee's issue of the confidential notes showing up in activities?
I'm happy to do it. I'm not sure that I'm prepared like I'd like to be, but I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
I've got the
All right.
issue.
Then I'm gonna gracefully pivot. Look at how graceful this transition is. It's like we're on live television.
Called a pirouette.
A pirouette. That sounds like a ballet term. The act of spinning on one foot, typically with the raised foot touching the knee of the supporting leg. A pirouette. That is graceful.
So I'm just going to probably unnecessary, but create a new branch.
Good call, Marcus, on noticing that was actually a deep merge. That made it a lot simpler.
Okay. I think arrays won't get merged, which can be surprising. Like
Yeah,
the
there's an
script is an
open
array.
EMR about making all the stuff easier to do in YAML that's sort of been languishing, or an issue at least. And there were some proposals, and then people started bike shedding, and they never went anywhere.
It's a common theme in GitLab issues.
So I'm guessing the first thing we should try and do for this is recreate the issue, right? Which isn't always going to be the easiest thing in the world. But we'll try. If JDK wants to play
Are you
ball.
interested in this feature for service desk as well? Like to have internal comments?
Yeah, so again, it's one that's dragged on for far too long, unfortunately. Like I don't know when. I want to say that the GitLab team, if I've got my terminology right, started work on this maybe 9 months ago. And then I started picking some of it up about 6 months ago because I was like, oh, awesome, been waiting for this. But I think both the GitLab team and I have lost enthusiasm, and we really need to find some, I don't know, some carrots to dangle to get it over the line. So we want a public project, I guess. Find an issue. We've probably already got some confidential notes on here, but let's pick a nice new one. I've already got the feature flag switched on. I'm almost certain of it.
I dropped the EMR about merging YAML arrays in the chat.
Oh, it's not that deep. It'll just overwrite the array.
I think the deep merging only happens for hashes and not for arrays, probably.
But hopefully there's no arrays involved here, because the job is just a hash.
Plus,
the script to be an array, but if you're just telling it to never run, then I think you're all good.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's interesting. Deep merging is always a problem. Sometimes you don't want a deep merge. It's an interesting problem. It's one of those extensibility modification ones
Sometimes
too.
You want to stay far in the shallows now.
I want to merge these. I want to merge these two hashes. We need to go deeper.
How many handstands do I have to do after enabling a feature flag for it to?
Sometimes.
Hey, there it is.
I think it gets cached up to a minute or so sometimes.
Yeah, I usually have to do like a check. I have to fetch it, and my Rails console will almost kind of force the cache to update.
So this is a bit frustrating because I can't tell what I'm sure. I feel like I've already fixed the user's activity feed. So let me just go like that and go like that.
Yeah, I don't see the comment there. Is that expected?
Well, yes and no. It's kind of good, but at the same time, I'm logged in as the administrator who has access to that comment, so I'm kind of feel like it didn't need to hide it from there.
Yeah.
And it's not appearing in here, so we might be in super luck and find that it's fixed, and just the issue hasn't been updated, or I might be way off.
Can we try
let's
adding?
add a normal note? Yeah, does that sound
Yeah.
like? Can't get rid of this. Oh, there you go. That's better. Okay, let's add a normal one.
I didn't even know you can make individual comments confidential.
That's yeah, because it's behind the feature flag, so it's pretty okay. So again, is this working off of any kind of Sidekick background job, or what?
It might be working off of a Sidekick background job. Do you know if all the background jobs are running successfully? Do you know how to check that in the
not exactly, but I'll try. Monitoring background job.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So what we're looking for, broken somewhere, good, busy.
To test if the activity is just working in general, do you want to try leaving a comment on a non-confidential issue, and we can see?
Yeah, it is. It's public issue.
Oh, that is, but that's a confidential issue, though, right? Oh, it's not confidential.
No, it's public. So
oh,
I've seen this behavior before in my GDK, and it's just where I've given up and come back later, and I'm sure things will start.
That might help.
What's that? Sorry, restart.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds like a worthwhile.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Always works, right?
Oh, we have invalid YAML over here on the original problem.
So what do you reckon? There's compulsory, some of the nodes are compulsory or something, or
I don't understand what this error would be.
Paste the error?
Yeah.
Let me stop sharing while I'm beating my screen if you want to.
we are parallelizing our work. Can you see this screen?
Yep.
So I am seeing startup CSS check config key may not be used with rules when.
Oh, I think what that's saying is when is the newer syntax for picking when something is supposed to be run.
I can't hear you anymore.
Hello?
Hey,
Now?
I can hear you now.
There's maybe something that I think it's the when never that's the problem. Like, try to just put, look at the original one. If it's just doing a script, like,
Okay.
just fake it with a script that does nothing or echoes as a workaround.
So this thing extends, it is doing a script. It is extending this thing.
What does that have? Does it
And
have
this
something
thing
that's-
is extending. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Let me see this one. Oh, I need to use the rules thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that needs to be nested in rules. It was just a syntax error.
Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing here with rules, though.
I think you just put the rules nesting level in there, and then under
Rules
that,
when never.
right.
What is this? Do I need to worry about that?
I think you can just put the when straight after the dash, so it's
Okay,
like,
so I could do something like rules.
and then make the when an array. I
Like
think
that?
that works. Can try it. I'll look at the docs real quick.
Just try it. Should I try to edit this using the web IDE?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
You may need an if.
So we're talking about rules. Do you all mind if I cheat real fast and look at source graph and see if there's anything I can copy from there?
Well, just kick this off first and see if it
Okay.
gets the same failure.
So we're saying something like this.
Actually, it should work. I see an
It's-
example.
it's
in the
not an-
docs
when-
that
when's
has
not an ar-
only a when.
Is when an array? It's not, is it? Or
Yeah, I'll see it in the docs. I think this will work. I'll give you a link to it.
so you do need the dash next to when. You can't.
I should go for it.
Yes, which
See,
right, which should still work because then the deep merge of the rules will get overwritten with this array, but we're not trying to override the contents of the array itself. But right there in the docs, you can see there's a bare when with nothing else.
Yep. Oh, is there really? Okay, cool. All right. So where's the merge? Oh, here's the cool merge request. It's down here. Oh, it looks, yes. There's no pipeline errors. That's a good one. And wow, I guess it's not trying to run the other jobs. I don't know if it's like picked them up or not, but that's kind of cool.
I think this may work.
But where are all the other default jobs, like all the spec jobs and all that?
Yeah, that's one I'm not entirely sure about.
Or do we not really have any changes in this merge request that triggers
Well,
specs and all that?
maybe I should have been targeting master. I thought that we would run it. Yeah, because this MR, I was targeting that target branch. I was target.
Okay, so we only have the CI changes.
I guess that's what's happening. So let me then target master.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, it's not called master. It's called yes. Oh no! All right, let me target main JH and let me cancel this one. Oh, hopefully it'll allow me to start a new one.
this needs to be rebased. Well, this needs to be rebased onto main JH again, because now it's got all of those other commits, right?
Well, I wanted that. I wanted those other
Got
commits.
it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Just to test it out. Hopefully the pipeline starts and stuff. Thanks so much for helping me out with this, because this has been on my plate for a while.
I'm still concerned about the if exists of things that never exist. Is there
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah,
thoughts on
totally.
how to address that in a cleaner way?
So I don't see startup CSS check here. Oh, no, I do see it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it'll be there, but click on it and see what it's going to do.
I think it's not supposed to be there. And here's now what I think is going on. We did this for this, like, I don't know what they call them, but it's like an abstract job, or it's like a,
Yep.
We did it for this one, but the win is actually being set for this one.
Just
so
do
it's
startup CSS check instead of the dot thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. So I'm yep. So I'm just gonna do something like
Because those
this.
dots are like included at a different time that isn't subject to the deep merge or something like that.
So I think this contains our win never, but this one is technically overriding it with the right things. I think that's what's happening. So I'm just gonna do this. That looks good. We feel good about it. Hey, why don't I just use the web IDE for making quick, simple changes?
It's gonna work. I guarantee.
I use it for doing any to about.gitlab the docs, because the project's impossible to pull down because it's so large.
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna take it's freaking out because when you open the merge request with the web IDE, it starts trying to open all of the files. And unfortunately, we still have this issue where the tabs wrap. So it looks like some good old win forms. But I need to close these things because I definitely don't need to open them. I'd like to like close all of them. That would be a cool feature. We're not there though. All right, I'm gonna go back to here. I'm gonna try to just ignore that these things have been opened. And I'm gonna go to JH, GitLab, CI, this one. And we're talking about just this, right?
Yep. That's the name of it.
That's the name of it.
Okay.
Let me double check. That's the name of it. Yeah, that's the name of it. There's an as if FOSS, but this one should be fine because it's as if FOSS. So that's actually okay. It really should be just that one, I think. So, and maybe I'd like to add a comment here.
Why is the as if FOSS okay?
Because it's not going to run it in the JH context. Like if it runs in EE context or as a FOSS context, that's all great. Technically in JH land, there's an as if EE, which is strange, but it's there. I'm going to leave a comment to here though of we don't need to run this for JH since which should only extend what exists in the main project. I'm going to add something like that. That all looks valid, I guess. I hit commit. Fix it for reals this time. Okay. Now that would be a cool feature for the web IDE, to do an automatic fix up commit of the last commit head. That would be really sweet. So I wouldn't have to worry about a message or anything. I can just say, I just want to fix up the last commit. Oh man, that'd be pretty cool.
You mean amend sort of thing, right?
Well, doing a fix up commit, it's just changes the commit message to prefix this like fix up thing.
Oh, so you want to change the mess? Okay, yeah. No, I wish you could amend the commits all the time in the web IDE, because you know what it's like. You try 10 different things until
Yeah.
you're happy.
That would be cool too. So this is, yeah, fix it for reals this time. In the test, we should not have a startup CSS. Yes, it's not there. This is it.
You didn't just scroll past it. Do you wanna...
I'm pretty sure I'm at the bottom.
You can go to the thing and do the jobs page. Should be possible.
Oh, really? Like going
click the
here?
Yeah, there you go.
We're just gonna run 110 jobs. Nope.
Did it. All right, I have to hop off. It was fun.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that was good.
Sorry I didn't get to yours, Lee.
Yeah,
I at least managed to fit it. Well, turn it off and on again. The event didn't get created, but turn it off and on again, and then add in some new comments. The events did get created. So.
Even the confidential ones?
Yes. So I've recreated the problem, which is always the first step, I guess.
Okay.
So I think yours, Paul, was a perfect fit for this forum. It was not this is an intractable problem that is going to take months to figure out. It was like, what is the syntax and how is the existing plumbing working? This weird thing.
Yeah, CI stuff is those are good things to throw in there, because it's always the rules behind it I'm never quite sure about, and everyone has different experiences with it and seen different patterns. So that's always
because you just left the rules out. You don't follow them.
This is a good point too. Yep. Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for hopping on and helping me out. This is a humongous help for me. So I will catch you all later next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.